I'm Nicole and welcome to my channel. I Was Almost Florence. It's good. We have a different filming location in a random building in a random room. I actually was able to find a lounge that was open, so this is where we're filming right now, etc. So very excited. Today I'm going to talk about the reasons why I decided to go vegan. And if you want to hear about the disclaimers that I have in terms of being a privileged individual who is able to go vegan, and in my way of accepting others who aren't, please definitely check out my blog description below. You can read all about it there. But in the meantime, let's get started. So, growing up, I was always very aware about food and the impact that it had, at least upon my body to a certain extent. My parents grew up and wanted me to eat like organic, natural foods, or at least foods without like corn syrup and other unnatural weird ingredients. And it wasn't until I first watched Food Inc. in middle and high school, and something always stuck with me. I always felt guilty about eating meat for a while, but eventually I would just like ignore it, let it slide. I never saw myself as someone who would become vegetarian, let alone vegan. And yeah, so fast forward to when I was a sophomore in high school. I had a few months before been diagnosed with polycystic ovarian syndrome, and which basically just means that my hormones already are not as balanced as they should be. I have very high testosterone levels naturally, and I needed to go on birth control in order to regulate those hormones a little bit more. It had already started to happen where I had had breakouts, and I think that in combination with birth control and ingesting dairy products, it just didn't allow my hormones to really settle as they should have, and to really allow the birth control that I was taking to have the full effect upon my body and the benefits that I needed. So I had been doing research, and just like it was very painful acne all along my like jaw and cheeks. I also had a wide number on my forehead. I would often get really, or what I consider to be really embarrassing zits, like right on my nose, like even on the tip of my nose. And having acne, I think I could have tolerated it if not for two things. If it wasn't extremely painful, I had very cystic acne, and if it wasn't something that really hindered my self-esteem. Growing up, I was just like a lanky, awkward human, and especially as someone who has social anxiety as well, having acne didn't give me the greatest self-confidence. I'm just gonna be honest. It didn't give me the self-confidence that I needed, and I didn't really know like the ways in which I could become more confident. But at the time, with so much acne on my face, I really put a lot of effort into trying to figure out what it was that was causing my acne, and so that because I saw it as a way to like boost my confidence. And at the time, like I totally should have been confident about myself emotionally, but considering what I was like going through at the time, just like being a teenager is always really hard. I think high school and middle school are just always a hard time for people. It's a very transitionary period, but anyways, going back in, I had really bad acne. It was hurting my self-esteem. And I was doing a lot of research on my own, but I eventually went to see a dermatologist, and a few days after, I also found out that there are certain foods that can cause or increase acne, and one of those was dairy. And I was the type of person who would eat a bowl of cereal every morning, like Cheerios and peanut butter, and have milk along with it, like dairy milk. And then when I would come home from school, I would have a snack, and it would usually consist of like crackers and cheese. I would have cheese on my sandwiches. I would eat grilled cheese on the weekends. I was very much in love with cheese and dairy and ice cream especially. And after I found out that dairy could be one of the things that was causing me to have such bad breakouts, I was like, okay, well, let me give this a try, and if nothing works, I'm just gonna continue to do what my dermatologist tells me. And after 1 week of even not eating dairy, I immediately saw a reduction in the redness that I had on my face. I noticed that I didn't have any new things sprouting up, that the acne that I did have from before was now settling down a little bit. But then after another week, so 2 weeks after I stopped eating dairy, I saw a really huge reduction in my overall acne. And I encourage anyone who maybe does have hormone imbalances to look at the dairy products they're eating and the amount of dairy products that they're eating, because it may very well be that your acne is caused by the dairy products you're consuming. But after the 2 weeks, I saw an immediate reduction in my acne overall. And the main thing that I noticed after was that I had some like hyperpigmentation or some scarring left over from the acne. Thing that I could totally handle. I just really was mortified and really self-conscious about the actual breakouts that were in place. Fast forward to a few months later, I started to do a little bit of research about cruelty-free skincare. I felt uncomfortable also feeding into a market and an industry that promoted and used animals, and this is when I started to become more aware of like animal rights. And yeah, so I started to transition my beauty products. In the back of my mind, I started to consider being vegetarian, because for me as an individual, to be so conscious and aware and promoting of alternative skincare and beauty products when I was still eating meat. So in the back of my mind, vegetarianism became more of a like obtainable goal and something that I would always like, that I would strive to obtain in the future. After I came to college and I met my best friend Patricia, she had been vegetarian for years before she even came to college, and we watched different documentaries like Cowspiracy, Blackfish, and it just made me very aware that I did not want to promote an industry that was actively hurting the animals that it was using, as well as the people, as well as the environment. So it was 3 factors that I just couldn't see myself agreeing with. For a year, I decided to be pescatarian to start my journey of becoming a vegan. So I cut out all red meat, all chicken, and the only things I were consuming were fish and eggs, because I'd already cut out the dairy years before when I was in high school and had already made an effort to transition away from that. So in the meantime, I was pescatarian with the goal of becoming vegan. I hadn't like set a definite date when it would happen, but I knew that I wanted to do it soon. But I was using this year as a transition period to find resources that were around me, both online and in my community. And yeah, so that's how that began. And then on January 12th, 2017, I started my vegan journey. So it's almost 7 months since I started becoming vegan, and honestly, it has been a really great journey. And it's also funny because Patricia and I actually, without even communicating about it, went vegan on the same day. So since becoming vegan, I feel as though I have a lot more energy, as if I can exercise a lot longer when I do work out, that my skin has cleared. I don't get colds or sick very often. I found that because of the fact that I'm eating a lot of fruits and vegetables, which are high in vitamin C, as well as other antioxidants and minerals that I need, I don't get sick as often, which is great. Even becoming pescatarian, I've lost a considerable amount of weight. Coming into college, I think I weighed about 140-ish. No, I think I weighed about like 135 coming into college. By winter break, I weighed 155. Then a few months after going pescatarian, I was back down to 135. So gained 15 pounds, no, 20, gained 20 pounds, lost it again. And now my weight, I think, is up a little bit. I think it's about 145 now, 135, 145, somewhere in that range last time I checked. So it shows that my weight is balancing out a lot more. And before, when I weighed about 155, it was mostly fat. Now I believe it's mostly muscle because I'm also working out. Overall, energized, skin is healthier, not sick as often, and I've lost weight. I also feel emotionally more positive about my impact on the environment, as well as the food that I do consume. especially on a college campus, it's kind of hard in order to find foods that are organic and naturally sourced. But my school does a pretty good job about at least getting locally sourced vegetables and fruits. They've also made more accommodations for vegans and vegetarians now that it's becoming a little bit more trendy and popular amongst the student body, which I'm also really grateful for. There could still be, I feel like, more vegan desserts available on campus. Just my own opinion. They have done a lot of effort, even in the past 2 years that I have been here, to be accommodating to everyone. I've also been labeled, I found, as a nice vegan. And I guess I take that to mean that in being vegan, I don't try to actively convert or go out of my way to even shame people for not being vegan. I don't think that's the way that this community will grow as a whole, and I don't think that that's the way that I want to live my life, trying to be negative and degrading towards other people in terms of their lifestyle. Because just like I addressed in my blog post about being vegan as a privilege, I definitely feel as though there are certain things, like maybe even health conditions, that we can't account for. Although veganism has been shown to decrease and even reverse a lot of negative health impacts from eating meat. So it goes both ways. It's a very complex issue. Each individual is completely different. And when I do talk and mention to people that I am vegan, I am really eager to educate and to show them like what it's like to be vegan. If they want to know more, I tell them, hey, like if you ever consider it, even for like a week, I have awesome recipes I can give you, as well as awesome food hacks to find on campus. And I have actually converted one of my friends to being vegetarian, at least, and his goal is to also become vegan eventually. So I'm really happy about that. So that has been my vegan journey so far. Another thing that I get is that people think that being vegan has to be boring or restrictive, and if anything, I think that it's made me more creative as an individual. So another really huge misconception is that being vegan has to be expensive. It really doesn't have to be. If you know the places to go, being able to find produce that's really inexpensive. Meat substitutes are also not expensive at all. They are usually, what I've found, especially when they have sales, significantly less expensive than meat and other dairy products. And if you think about it, sometimes you will come across a meat substitute product that is more expensive, but the reality is that those 10, 20, maybe even 50 cents that you're putting towards that vegan product will pay off exponentially in the long run, because of the fact that you won't get sick as often, you won't have to pay for excessive medical bills, you don't have to go to the store and try to buy over-the-counter cough medicine because you're just not sick. The products that you buy, you just have to be a little bit smart about where you shop, and also use coupons. Sometimes coupons will be your best friend and get you the greatest deals. So I think one thing that I really encourage people to do if they are reluctant to go vegan is to at least consider and be more mindful about the food that they're eating. I think that is the first step towards living a healthier lifestyle and being so much more conscious of the environment and the world around you. So yes, for now, I don't see myself as being anything other than vegan or ever going back to eating meat products. The documentary What the Health that I watched recently really showed me that I don't want to get sucked back into the negative health aspects that come along with eating meat and dairy products. I also, like I said before, don't align with a lot of the meat and dairy industry's values and corruption. So yeah, so that's all that I have for now on being vegan. Thank you so much for staying and watching through all of my rambling. It's been really great. If you have any other comments about what it's like being vegan, any other further tips, definitely let me down below in the comment section, or even find me on my blog and comment below. All right, but yes, thank you so much for staying tuned and watching, and I hope you have an amazing day. Bye.